Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Manthology Show, life by three white guys in their 30s. In today's episode, camping, listener mail, and grief. Joining me today, we have a special guest on the show. Before we bring in our guest into the recording booth, I have to say we've got a little administrative work. Our good friend Derek took a job for a large political party in the United States and is working 80 hours a week and is unable to record at least this week and perhaps next week. So Derek is off, and our good friend Josh as well was unable to record this morning. It's Sunday morning. We're a little later than normal, and schedules got mixed up. We were supposed to do it Friday, but Derek fell through because he's working like a dog. So anyway, long story short, the show must go on, and to help me record this here episode is my good friend Davey. Davey, thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Manthology Show.
Hey, Blake, it's good to be here. I'm glad to know you have more than just two white friends in their 30s.
I've got a third one. It's Davey.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Okay, before we get into the nuts and bolts of this here episode 16 of the Manthology Show, I got to remind the little listeners out there, all maybe 600 now, I think, is what we're trending at, Davey. 600 weekly listeners. Go on iTunes and rate us if you haven't already. Send us email. We got some new fan mail today from Tim Morris, I believe, from Australia. Just emailed, said he was a big fan of the show. You can send us an email, men@Manthology Show, or tweet us @Manthology Show. Or you can become a patron at manthologyshow.com if you enjoy what we're doing on this show. Please support us. Davey, we want to start this show with our first, a follow-up of a recent show, if you heard the metal versus rap discussion. And Jack Hubbard, our good friend, emailed in to say, to give us his thoughts. Why don't you read his feedback on that recent discussion?
Yeah, he sent in an email reacting to our recent metal versus rap discussion. He says, the metal drummer fighting the agony of lactic acid, burning every ounce of muscle in his limbs. He fights dehydration and exhaustion just to make it to the end of the song. And when the song is over, he does it again and again. The metal guitarist, I can't read that.
Adaptability.
That's English? His adaptability and versatility make him the master carpenter of the music world. The metal bassist, an honest living. And then we have rappers. They are the used car salesmen of the music world. Sorry to say it, Blake and Josh, but I'm with Derek 100% on this one. And I'm going to have to say, just from reading his email, it sounds like I'm with Derek and Jack 100% on this one as well, Blake.
Yeah, me and Josh kind of felt like the lyrics embodied the bravado of male a little more, but I think Jack makes a hell of a case here that is pretty manly. It's certainly what the drummer does in metal bands. Thanks for writing in, Jack. Yeah, so Davey, we wanted to. Okay. Let me step back here. I went on a camp out recently. Okay, roughing it, whatever you want to call it. And I
choosing to not sleep in your own bed.
Yeah, that's what you call it.
That's what I call it.
Oh yeah. It's the deal with camping is I don't know. It's just we have the technology of beds, and yet we choose to not use them like 1 or 2 or 3 nights out of a weekend or whatever. Davey, what's your take on camping? Is it manly or unnecessarily nostalgic?
Well, I'll tell you, Blake, I'm going to say it's unnecessary. I actually just went camping this weekend for the first time in about 5 years.
Where'd you go?
We went up to an old family ghost town in the middle of nowhere, Idaho.
Okay.
We went up there, and I took 2 kids, a tent, a blow-up mattress, foam pads, sleeping bags, quilts, blankets, comforters. It's an experience, but I just don't think that it's necessary. I'm not sure what life lessons the kids get out of it other than Dad sure can pack a car.
So did the kids have a fun time?
Yeah, the kids had a great time. They ran around and hiked, and it was in the 40s at night, so I don't think they enjoyed the sleeping so much.
How many hours of sleep did you get?
I'm not sure. I heard the train go by. I heard the trucks on the highway. I heard what I thought was a wolf sniffing out our tent. And then I had to listen to the kids crying in their sleep all night due to the cold. So I probably slept 20 to 26 minutes.
Yeah, I'm kind of this. I think I'm in the same boat. Like, so I have to agree with you. We'll need to, in a follow-up episode, get Derek and Josh's remarks on this. But it kind of seems like this nostalgic thing that we all kind of endure or pretend that we like. I mean, I'm sure there's people that really enjoy camping, and they're probably the few that know how to sleep in the wild with animals brushing up against your tent and rocks, protruding through your back and your mattress getting cold. But yeah, when I went, it's kind of the same thing. I got a few hours of sleep. You wake up groggy. I almost feel like the better way to do it is just go have a late night out with the campfire, and then around midnight or whatever,
drive home.
Yeah,
just
drive
come home. When we got home yesterday, it's like the wet dog treatment. You get at home and you open up the car, you roll down all the windows to let everything air out, and you're like, okay, we got to be very careful what we bring in the house because we smell bad. We smell like campfire. We're gross. Everyone straight to the showers. Don't let your clothes touch the carpet. It might leave a stain. Like, you just don't want to let anything in the house after the camping trip.
Yeah, it's just stench.
Yeah. Oh, it's disgusting.
Stinky. Yeah, just stinky. Well, okay, have you tried now, and I think in reaction to camping and how it's not that cool, and maybe this isn't very manly or roughing it, is glamping. Are you familiar with glamping, Davey?
Yeah, it still rhymes in amping. So
what are your thoughts on glamorous camping, as they say?
Well, Blake, who's going to buy the trailer that costs just as much as my house to drag it behind their truck? Who's buying my truck that's dragging the trailer around?
No. I think we're talking about different things. I mean, like glamping is when you have some like hotel operator go set up this really plush tent with furs at the bottom. That's how I've heard of it. Have you not seen this?
No.
Yeah. So there's these new tour operators where like they call it glamping, where they set up this huge Game of Thrones like tent or whatever cabana thing and fur like walk-in pads and like foot washing stations and full-on beds. So it's basically like this. It's basically like how a king would camp outside. Apparently, I've never done it, but it looks better than regular camping. But at the same time, then it takes away that whole roughing it factor. So I don't know if that's an issue for you.
I don't know. I think they've fallen for some sort of marketing scheme. I think if you called kings from the past, they would laugh at that. No, I never went camping. I had a castle and a throne room. And why am I having furs
and
set outside?
Cold, dingy walls that were leaking water and mildew.
If I wanted to see how people roughed it, I walked down to like the torture chamber and looked at those people and thought, that's camping.
Life's not as bad. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Why would I be sleeping ever outside, Blake, when I have a bed?
Okay, you heard it here first. Camping is unnecessarily nostalgic, and we don't like it. And if you do like it, please send us an email or tweet us at Manthology Show, men at Manthology Show, telling us why we're wrong. We want to know why we're wrong. If you love camping, or you know what, if just someone could tell me how to fall asleep, like in the wild, maybe I would like it better. But it's just, I've never met anyone that said, oh, gee, I had a really great night's sleep last night. Yeah, I feel refreshed and ready to go.
Do you know what the last thing was I bought before we went to the campsite? We stopped at Albertsons to pick up some snacks. The last thing I bought was a bottle of ibuprofen.
To kind of help you along your way.
Oh, yeah. The bottle's almost gone.
So instead of so that extended it from 20 minutes to 23 minutes because you said you had like 20.
Yeah. I took some in the night. I took some in the morning. I mean, that was my last purchase, in fact.
No. Well, yeah. Let us know, listeners. We want to know your opinion on camping. If you like it, send us an email, tweet us, let us know your thoughts. Now, Davey, we sometimes talk about serious issues, when life gets real. And listener Jeff Francis emailed, and this is some real stuff, and we wanted to do our best to tackle this subject. He writes in and says, "I just have to say I love your show. It's just so perfect. It's like trying to describe a snowflake." Well, thank you very much, Jeff. He goes on to say, on a more serious note, my grandmother recently died, and we were very close, so there's grief involved. It sucks. I was wondering what the closest thing to manly way of grieving is, and such as time frame, expression, etc. First off, Jeff, I'm really sorry to hear about your grandmother. That does suck. I've had a couple die, but I have no idea what it was like in your case, because mine were kind of distant grandmothers. I never lived close with them, so it was I guess, and old age was involved, so it was a little more expected. Davey, what are your thoughts? How do you grieve? What's the proper way to grieve? I'm not a counselor, so I'm feeling unqualified to answer this question.
Well, Blake, it just so happens I got my griever's license a while back, and so I can speak to this as a professional.
Okay, professional griever. Okay.
Well, Jeff, I also offer my condolences. I'm sorry for what you're going through. But the question relating to what is a manly way of grieving, I believe most of the female gender types grieve into a hanky or a tissue, with the blowing the noses and the tears and the stuff like that. That does not come natural to me. So when I think of grieving, I think of, instead of things that make my nose blow into a tissue, I think of things that make my fists rise up into the air after I do it. So
you're an angry griever, dude.
Yeah, when I grieve, I want to go shoot guns and then throw my hands in the air and say I shot guns. When I grieve, I want to go jump off a bridge into a river and say I jumped off a bridge into a river. I want to grieve and then pound my chest and raise my arms and shout. At the end of Braveheart, when Mel Gibson's handsome Scottish character has passed away, and they're about to charge the field and scare the English people back into another century, his best friend Hamish throws the sword across the field, and you remember the shot of it flying through the air, and then it lands in the ground. They all start shouting and cheering, and then they start running the field, and that's how the movie ends. It's this slow motion, all these guys charging this battlefield. So when I grieve, I want to throw that sword out in front of me and run out there and rip some English guy's head off. I want to do something that makes me feel.
Yeah, but Davey, hold on.
For the person who's passed on.
If I could interject. I thought anger was masking true feelings. So if you're using anger to cope with grief, aren't you just masking?
Isn't anger a true feeling? Is sadness a true feeling?
Sadness is, but everything I've learned is anger is typically a secondary feeling. It's not a primary feeling. So in most cases, not all, but in most cases, when you're expressing anger, you're masking a deeper feeling and not tackling the issue.
So what if I'm crying on the inside while I'm aggressively angry?
See, that's what I'm saying. You're masking, so that wouldn't be a good way to deal or process grief. You would rather be just kind of masking or hiding it. At least that's just an idea. I'm not sure. I'm not judging.
Like at the end of the movie, they said the Scots won their freedom, so I have to think it's effective.
With grief, though, I don't know. I don't know if anger is an appropriate form to grieve. Maybe it is. We'll have to get some counselor on the show to check us, because
the Crusades worked, didn't they?
I guess, yeah.
Aren't they angry about Jesus?
Maybe. I mean, it's like, I don't know. Maybe Dr. Google can answer this, but yeah, I don't know if that's the. I mean.
Well, you're really making me consider that I might need some deep psychological help here. Because right now, even while talking to you, I'm clenching and unclenching my fists. I'm really upset for Jeff's morning, and I want to take him out and go beat somebody up for him.
Yeah, you're an angry griever.
Oh, jeez.
I think with me, like, I don't know. And this isn't, to answer your question, Jeff, this isn't good either. Like, I'm fortunate where I haven't had someone super close to me pass. Again, my 3 of the 4 of my grandparents have passed, but they've always lived out of state, and it was just kind of birthday cards, a congenial relationship. There's love involved. I know they support me. I felt it when my grandfather died, but I'm not as close as it sounded like you were to your grandmother. So I'm kind of a newbie in regards to that. So a sibling hasn't passed yet, nor a parent. And so I feel ill qualified to answer this question, frankly, because I just don't have someone close to me. But I do know, that you are, one of the best things you can do with grief or anything is to identify the feeling, like think about what it is you're feeling. Say that, I think this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm feeling, is to talk about feelings, as lame as that sounds. And I know that's something we've discussed in recent shows, that the old man's way, the 1950s, 60s, 30s man way, it was considered manly to not talk about feelings. That's horribly wrong. Modern psychology teaches that is not a good way to cope with feelings, and we humans are made of feelings. So,
and that's also why all the people that lived back then are now dead, because they did not grieve.
Or they have huge problems. So they used avoidance coping to deal with that, and it fails miserably. So I do know you're supposed to identify the feeling and talk about it with people or friends or loved ones or. Yeah. So.
Blake, I had someone really close to me lose a husband and a father this last year, and the only thing, being that I also couldn't prove empathy for them or relate to them, the only thing I could say was, don't be ashamed of your feelings. Allow them to come and run their course, and allow those feelings to at times overwhelm you. It's okay to have a breakdown, to need to be alone or need to be with someone else. And
I agree. Those feelings need to come out. Inside Out's a great, we often reference as Pixar movies. That was a great, I think, movie to discuss the importance of sadness. Did you see that one, Davey?
I missed that one.
It was okay. It was a good, fun movie, and I think it was Pixar's movie last year or last summer. And so it kind of it underscores the importance of sadness and letting sadness out. So I agree wholeheartedly with you, David, that you got to let those emotions out. I will say this, and I just failed to do it, Davey. I've recently learned that when someone is sad or shares something that's disappointing them, you know what you're never supposed to do, Davey?
What's that? Punch him in the nose.
No, well, that wouldn't be good.
Okay.
That's probably worse than this. But the second thing is, you're never supposed to one-up someone. And I just did that to Jeff, and that was wrong. So when I was reading that his grandparents died, I said, I had grandparents die too. That never helps people. And so you're always never supposed to just keep that to yourself, because you can never really truly relate to someone. Every case is different. And so by attempting to insert or inject yourself into that, it can be it doesn't help. So, Jeff, my apologies for inserting my totally unrelated deaths from long ago to yours. But I do know we're not supposed to do that. It's not a helpful way to help others cope with grief or other feelings. So, there you go. There's my 2 cents.
Maybe you can go back and erase the part where you were trying to one-up him.
Well, I'm just going to expose myself like I do often on the show. It is what it is. I'm not going to edit this. There it is. So maybe I will, Davey. Maybe I'll do. Maybe I'll take you up on that. Davey, we had a funny experience today. So I just added Davey on Skype. We're cell phone friends. We've never Skyped before. So in order to do this show, I added Davey to Skype. And if I could, I would describe this picture. It appears Davey from maybe 20 years ago. Davey, how old is this profile pic?
That's gonna be 15 years ago.
Yeah, I thought 15, 20 years, and it's this great picture of Davey wearing these garishly scary green shorts that are way too short, and then this a headband. It appears, was this a disco night photo?
It was a disco roller skating night.
Yeah.
I don't know what's scary about the green shorts, Blake. They're just
short.
Yeah, well, I got good-looking legs.
So, well, anything. So I accused Davey when I saw this that he's one of those types that uses very old pictures of himself to online for his profile pics. But you, Davey, have said that is not the case. This is just one exception to your profile pic usage online.
Well, I just, geez, Blake, I just wanted to make you laugh. I didn't know I was going to be the target of ridicule. And
okay,
I'm celebrating my body, Blake. As you know, when you get into your 30s, suddenly this thing forms between your chest and your thighs, this gut.
Okay. So I'm just curious. So you're not one of those types that uses old profile pics online. Well,
no, I've actually only been a social media user for maybe a year or so, and
so this is new for you.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was this problem of people going back and throwing up.
I wouldn't say it was a problem, but like, I mean, I'll throw my mother under the bus a little. One of her profile pics I think of on her Facebook is this. She's beautiful, by the way, and she was a babe when she was a flight attendant. So she posts this beautiful picture of her, black and white, mind you, when she was a flight attendant for American Airlines. That's her Facebook profile pic, or at least it was at one time.
You know what? Maybe that tells you who she wants to talk to. People that recognize her at that age, so she doesn't want to talk to us.
Maybe, yeah. There you go. Okay.
Have you ever got that feeling when you call her and she's like, "Oh, hey, Blake.
Oh, hey, son. How are you?
It's you. That's great."
Yeah. So you don't know anyone, Davey, that posts old profile pics as they're on their social media?
No, but I do notice people like post pictures that are not of them as profile pictures, and I get confused. Like, oh, pile of rocks. How's it going? I don't remember us in high school together, pile of rocks as friends. I have a hard time recognizing who the person is.
Yeah,
when you have to you dig through, you see they have a weird nickname, their picture is a pile of rocks, and so you have to click on their profile and search through to find out who they are and find a picture of them.
Yeah, one of my friends has this picture where I think he's got one of these old. Well, not old, but an SLR camera strapped around his neck. He looks like a bit of a tourist. And then he's holding this ridiculously small gardener's snake with two hands. And I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, but it's really confusing because you look at the picture what's he holding in his hand? And you have to study it, and then you see it's this ridiculously thin, small snake. It's a gardener snake. I don't know.
Well, I'm actually going to just go and update my profile picture. So I don't have to hear this ridicule anymore. I think the profile.
No judgment. Hey, no judgment. I just thought it was funny.
It should be obvious by your profile picture who you are.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right? I didn't think anybody was going to see my Skype profile picture. I mean, if you go on my Facebook, it's obviously me.
It's a great picture. Maybe you should use this more often. Anyway, I thought it was funny. It's one of those funny things that happens in online behavior. And
it's also my only modeling gig I've ever had, Blake, just so you know. I was skating around, and the people who run the skating rink wanted a picture of me to actually advertise their disco skating night. So that's the history behind that picture.
Yeah, okay.
So see, it's a conversation starter.
And it worked, because here we are talking about it on the Manthology Show. A disco picture from 15 years ago. Davey, we've reached the end of our show this episode. Why don't you tell the listeners how they can participate in an upcoming episode?
Okay, well, if you guys like what we're doing, visit manthologyshow.com to become a patron. You can follow us on Twitter at Manthology Show, or you can email us at men@manthologyshow.com.
Davey, thanks so much for subbing and for joining us on the show. Really appreciate it. It's good to have you on.
Hey, it's great to be a seat filler. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So for Davey, Josh, and Derek, I'm Blake. Thank you for listening to the Manthology Show. We'll catch you next time right here. Same channel, same time. Have a great week.
Oh, she is following me in my head when I am all alone. Thinking of her every time I want to try to let her go. But it's never easy when you think you have it in control. Somehow you get caught up in the moment. You never know. All these tiny cities that you're holding in your little hand, glittering like diamond lights that blow away in desert's end. It was never perfect, it was never meant to last. It was never perfect, and it never meant to